Hey guys, my name's Teddy. I'm the lead developer from Arcane Rituals, a new indie game developer from Scotland. This is just going to be a really off-the-cuff intro devlog to this new game we're working on. It's a 2D top-down, semi-traditional roguelike, I guess I would say, with a weird west setting, and we are currently 2 days into development. So we've been trying to follow a process of rapid prototyping. So if you're listening to this, you were probably roped into playing, or testing, I guess, our last game idea, which was kind of like a chess slash MOBA hybrid bastardization thing. So we tested that, and it turned out there was a bunch of weird flaws in the design, and we decided instead of doubling down on it, we would just abandon it and pick up on something else. So this is what we've picked up on. So as I said earlier, we're literally a day into development at this point. So far it's mostly just been me fucking around in Visual Studio, trying to knock really basic systems together and learning things about Unity that I maybe didn't have to learn for the last project. So it's kind of been all hands on deck. But I thought I would record a little devlog and maybe drop one once a week. So, in a year, when this project is an all singing, all dancing roguelike, I can look back on it and be like, we made that. So, as you can see, the only thing we've really got working so far is level generation. So, it kind of looks disgusting just now, because we filled the entire game board with walls. But if I remove that, you can get a better idea of what it is this actually does. I think that's probably going to remove the walls. So if I open up the game controller here, and I hit the create dungeon button, you can see it randomly generates a level. And I've put in all these like different parameters and stuff, so you can change how the output looks. So this will create a smaller level. Yeah, perhaps one that's just a singular room. If we make that twice as big, but we make that half as big, you're going to get like weird small interconnected rooms and stuff. I'm going to reset that to what it was 2 minutes ago because it took me ages to find settings that worked. So these are procedurally generated, which essentially just means that they use computer randomness to build things off the cuff. There's hundreds of ways of doing this, but I, because I'm learning, just implemented 2 or 3 really simple ones. So the first one I implemented is called Perlin Noise. Basically it generates things based on like computer generated noise. It's good for sort of 3D topography and stuff. Like I would imagine a game like Minecraft probably uses Perlin Noise to generate its like voxel terrain. The 2 I've done, and the 2 I think we're going to stick with, are a corridor first generation and a binary space partitioning generation. So, a corridor first generator basically generates corridors, and then based on that, then generates rooms at the end and start points of the corridors, and then tries to link everything up in a neat way. It generates the corridors by using, I think, a simple random walk, where you just generate an agent onto the board, and you get it to move a certain distance in random directions, and once you've moved that, like, that amount of steps, you then reset it back to its original point, or stick it on another random point on the board, and once you've done that, like, 10 times, you've got 10 corridors, and at that point, you can start generating your rooms, which are also generated using simple random walks, but it's from the same point, so if you repeat the walk, maybe 3 or 4 dozen times, like you end up with like a sort of cave shape. The other one I did is a binary space partitioning algorithm, which essentially just draws a massive square and then halves it, and then halves the halves, and so on until you've got squares that are below a certain size. And at that point, it then like removes some of the terrain and then tries to connect them with corridors. Like you can see what this actually looks like. So if I run this, you can see that like maybe like these all started off as square rooms, but if I untick the random walk room generation, the rooms ultimately end up just being the rectangles that it started with. So if I do something ridiculous, like make this really big, and then make the rooms really chunky and set like a big offset between them, like when yeah, there you go, you can see how it works. So it's like made a big square, it's halved it a bunch of times, then it's moved it around, and then it's connected them with corridors. So ultimately, I think this is the one we're probably going to stick with, because it's really fast, it's really simple to understand, and it also generates you well-structured rooms, so when we get further on in the development, and we start to actually put things in these rooms, it will be easy to keep track of them. Like right now, all I'm doing is assigning a GUID as an ID every time a room is generated, and then using it to like spawn the player in the one that's, I think we're using the one that's got the lowest x-axis, so it's the one that's furthest to the left, because the initial conceit of this game is that it would be a journey if it left to right as you go deeper into this thing we're calling the weird. But for now, this is going to have to do, because we're just implementing basic mechanics as I learn Unity. We're not actually trying to, create like a fully playable game. So the other thing that we've implemented is basic movement mechanics. So Rob has done this really delightful little sort of cowboy sprite, and I've implemented him into the game. So if it doesn't fall over, you can see that it uses really basic turn-based grid movement. So because it's a roguelike, every time your character takes a step, all the monsters in the game will also take a step. So it's not supposed to be like a fast-paced action game, it's supposed to be like really in-depth and thinky. Like, you'll get yourself into like scrapes and stuff that maybe will require quite a lot of thought to get out of, and like you'll be able to like take your time and come up with the best possible move for the fucked up situation you find yourself in. So right now, as I said, it's just a single sprite. Like Rob's a phenomenal artist, so he's probably gonna like come up with all these like crazy animations that I'm gonna have to learn how to implement and stuff. But for now, you can randomly generate levels of arbitrary sizes with arbitrary numbers of rooms, corridors, etc. We've got a player controller that moves a character in a way that you can A, keep track of, and B, guarantees they're going to drift out the level or stuff. Like you can see here, like I'm hitting up and I'm hitting right, and the raycasting check is making it so that you can't move outside the bounds of the walls. And the movement is also quite smooth, which I'd say is a fucking win, given it's been less than a day. So I'm going to drop another one of these probably every week, maybe just stick them on our YouTube channel, see if we can get some people talking. Hopefully get some proper devs shouting at me that I'm doing stuff wrong, and then we can actually set this project up in a way that makes fucking sense. But anyway, cheer for now, guys.